Guys, Assalamu alaikum. It's your Dr. Naveed Ahmed Sheikh. As you know me very well, we have started a series of videos on different recent trials, which recently came, especially in American College of Cardiology update of 2022. So I suggest you that before be with me in next trials or next videos or this video, I would suggest you to go through please my previous video in which we discussed that how to read a trial, because in every trial I won't discuss the research terminology and the special or particular explanation of research terminologies. So I would suggest you that if you don't know, or you if like if you don't have any know-how or a basic and like basic know-how of interpretation of trials, so I would suggest you to go through my previous video in which I explained that how to read a trial. So without wasting time, I would start the impulse trial. It's a trial, and this was an amazing trial because it gave us an answer that whether to use SGLT2 inhibitor, especially empagliflozin, in acute heart failure or not, because we know that in so many trials SGLT2 has become a very promising drug to use in the chronic heart failure, but nobody knew that, nobody was knowing that, and we were very much like wondering that how whether to use empagliflozin in acute failure or not. So the answer came by impulse trial. So impulse trial, you know that this was a multi-centered randomized control trial, and it was a prospective trial. So what was the objective? Objective was to investigate the effects of empagliflozin, as I told you, an SGLT2 inhibitor on symptoms, physical limitations, quality of life, which investigated among the individuals which were hospitalized with acute heart failure. This was not the population of chronic heart failure, but this trial was done on the population of acute heart failure. So this in that aspect, that trial is very much special, and the inclusion criteria was hospitalization, as I told you, with acute heart failure, when the randomization between 24 hours and 5 days, like they were taken in the trial who were admitted within 24 hours, and they followed that patient up to the 5 days after admission without hypotension or inotropic support. And those were the patients who were not like beyond stage 4, who were not critically ill or in the shock, and with elevated natriuretic peptide levels. So why they took the patients with elevated natriuretic peptide levels? Because that was the obvious marker that showed that the patient which were included in that study was the patient of acute heart failure, because acute heart failure symptoms can be simulate with any other diseases. So just to confirm that the patient which we are taking in the study are acute heart failure or not, they took their natriuretic peptide levels, and they included those patients after taking their elevated natriuretic peptide levels, BNP levels. So the study was done between two groups. One was obviously who were taking the empagliflozin, and the number of the patients were 265. And other group was also the number was same, which was 265, but those patients were taking placebo. Placebo can be a drug or it cannot be a drug. So what was the primary endpoints? Primary, as I told you, that the study which achieved to prove their primary endpoints, which achieved to take their primary endpoints, are considered like those studies who can achieve their primary endpoints can be considered as positive studies. So this trial achieved their primary endpoint, and the primary endpoint was clinical benefit at 90 days, defined as a composite endpoint of a time to all cause death. It means they were looking for the all cause death, like death caused by anything, and their symptoms as well, the number of the heart failure events in next 90 days, and at a 5 points or a greater difference in change in the ECQ TSS was a greater in patient treated with the empagliflozin with versus placebo. So that was a actually score, or that was actually a test which was done on their patients, just to take the objective evidence that the patients who were taking empagliflozin were improving or not. So what they observed, that on the baseline, the patients who were taking the empagliflozin were improved a lot. Then with the comparison of those patients who were not taking the empagliflozin but the placebo, so that were not improved. So what concluded, what scientists or researchers concluded, that a net clinical benefit was observed at 90 days. So what they did, actually, they took the patient from 24 hours to 5 days, like in the period of 24 hours to 5 days, and those are not on the inotropes or critical stage of the heart failure, and they were given what one empagliflozin, and 265 patients were given placebo, and they concluded that after 90 days, that the net clinical benefit was observed at the 90 days in the patient the hospitalized for acute heart failure, like though they came just because of the heart failure, not with any other diseases, after initiation of the empagliflozin, independent of baseline health status. Like those are not coming for with the ACS and all these. Those are the patients who were like purely coming for the acute heart failure. So what this trial proved, that you can use the empagliflozin or SGLT2 inhibitor, especially empagliflozin, because in this trial empagliflozin drug was used. So you can use empagliflozin in acute heart failure as well. And in next coming update, which I present in next coming or a couple of days, in next coming a few days or a couple of days, and I would show you that update is coming very soon. Okay, so guys, take care and share this trial and the video of trial with your friends, peers, and those who can get benefit from these trials. Okay, so now take care.